Good evening, everyone. Roger and Mar, we're back.
What's up?
No, not a movie review. We're still trying to find time to sit through 2 hours worth of movie and then 20 minutes worth of review.
Yeah.
But today we're just going to do a variation on one of our top 5 lists that we do. Normally we do top 5 surprise, where we just surprise each other with a list and go at it. But this time is a special one because near where your work is,
Yeah.
there is a new shop opening up, and
It's a Maserati dealership. Of all things in
this area.
this area of Fort Worth, yeah. That's the only way I can think to describe that. So it got us thinking about cars.
And so we've decided we would do a top 5 list combined. Well, not combined, but the same question. That if money was no object, what would your top 5 dream cars be?
Yeah.
And we flipped a coin before we started this video, backstage. And
I'm gonna go first.
Jonathan goes first with your first one.
So I'm somewhat doing mine in, well, actually no, I'm really not doing mine in order at all. But I'll tell you what, but when we get to my last one, that's my number one pick, so it doesn't matter. The first one that I have on my list is a 1934 Stutz Bearcat. Now, the picture that you just saw is actually a picture of a 1932 Stutz Bearcat, because the 34s was the last year that it was in production until they brought it back for the revival in the late 70s. It's very hard to find a picture of a 34, but 32 is pretty much what it looks like. I think that there were a few changes. I've always wanted one, A, because it is such a rare car, and B, I like that kind of classic look to them, in the sense that it can look either kind of classy or you could do like a street rod thing to it. Plus they had rumble seats, and I've always wanted a car with a rumble seat in it. Always. Ever since I saw American Graffiti, I've always wanted one. So that's my first one.
All right, mine are not really in any order. I guess my first one is my most obvious choice to anybody who knows me. 1964 and a half Mustang, convertible, white with red interior. The reason I choose that car is obviously because it started a revolution of cars. The first Mustang was actually a 1962 prototype. They actually started first working on them in 1961, but in 1962 there was a prototype that was released that was never sold. And 64 and a half, it came out in 1964, thus 64 and a half. It came out in late, I think it was May or June at the World's Fair that year. And the reason I want white with red interior is the fact that that was the first production model to come off, was white with red interior.
My next one that I have is a 1997 Skyline GTR 33 Nismo edition. And I knew that I wanted to put a Skyline on the list because I've always been a fan of them. But, there were a lot to choose from, but I've always been a fan. I like the design of the third generation of them, which was up until 98. 97 was the last really popular one that they put into production, and it's the last one that from that generation, that they did a Nismo edition of, which Nismo stands for Nissan Motorsports. And it's basically, they go in and they tune the engine and they make it into a racing engine. They put a pure racing engine into it. I always liked the body design of them, and I just thought they weren't quite as sleek looking as the ones that are out now. They were a little bit boxier, but they're very 90s looking, and that's what I like about it. Yeah, stop.
My number 2. Now the rest of the next 3 are not specifically in any order. It just happens to be as I was thinking of them. 1989 Lamborghini Countach 25th Anniversary Edition. The 25th anniversary was actually would have been anywhere from 88 to 90 because they made pretty much the same body style those entire 3 years, and they label all 3 of them as 25th Anniversary Edition. I picked a 89 specifically because I like the fact that they added the wing to it, and it gives it much more cool 80s look to it. And I believe the picture I posted was a black one. I would actually prefer to have it in red, but I couldn't find a decent picture in red. So.
Very Miami Vice.
Oh yeah.
The next one that I have, which this one I told you, you're not going to be surprised at the choice of car, but you might be surprised at the styling that I'm choosing. A 1959 Cadillac Hearse. I loved the body design of that because it had the big fenders on the back. It had that nice rounded edge on the front, and it wasn't trying to be anything too fancy. It was a really straight up styling for a hearse. For the actual hearse part of it, the covered part in the back. But the body is just such a beautiful design. And you can do so much with it. You know, it's a 50s Cadillac. You know, you put a little bit of a rake on it, you drop down the front a few inches, and you raise that back up, and you turn it into a street rod just by doing that. Plus, it's a Cadillac, so you know that it's going to run beautifully, and it has a great engine in it. I would personally, if I ever were to be able to get one, I would take the engine that's in it out and put in one of the North Stars. Put in a North Star engine in it.
Was that the one, the Echo one?
Very similar body design. I believe the Echo one was along the lines of like the 62 or 63.
Oh, okay.
But very, very, very similar body design. Extremely similar. But 59 has always been the year that's always stood out to me. There was something special about it. So.
The next on my list is a 1984 Corvette. I just always liked the way that particular year looked. I'm not a big fan of Corvettes, but I really liked that one in particular.
You talking about the Stingray?
No.
No? Okay.
No, just the regular Cooper convertible.
Okay.
Either one. And I think the picture I just posted up was a purple one, and yes, I want it in purple.